Hello and welcome to the Racing Base preview of Cox Plate Day 2015. Good result for us last week in the Caulfield Cup with Mongolian Khan saluting, and hopefully we can keep the winners coming and find the winner of this week's Cox Plate. So joining me as usual, I've got Rick Chapman on the other line. Rick, how are you, mate?
I'm very good for a man of my habits, ready to unleash and bet handsomely this Saturday.
Yeah, it was funny at the end of last week's preview, Rick, the little sign-off bit with "Let's go to battle," and as I replied, "As the Khans do," it seemed to fit the comment in the end.
Yeah, well, he was dominant. It was great. It was a performance that has ranked him a major Melbourne Cup chance now, but no one could miss the run of Fame Game and the incredibly lackadaisical performance Zach Purton put in.
Yeah, I think everyone saw it, Rick, which is why his odds have tumbled in. Glad I secured bigger odds beforehand. So anyway, before we get into the Cox Plate, let's briefly touch on the Manikato stakes on Friday night. To be honest, I don't think it needs a lot of talking through because I can't see anything beating Chautauqua.
Well, I can. I've mapped the story and mapped the race rather and wrote the story. And I think Terra Vista just, if he sits, I think the key is in the first 300 metres. Whoever's in front of the other, I think will win the race, either Terra Vista or Chautauqua. Now, at Randwick, Huey got a long way back on Terra Vista, and I think it's because he needed the run. But, geez, acceleration was astonishing when he beat Rebel Dane the other day. He's got a victory over Chautauqua. I just think if he sits a length and a half in front of Chautauqua, he can't run him down, and Terra Vista will get all the runs and get the prize.
Yeah, sure. The luck in running will play a big part, but I just think there's no horse in the land with a better turn of foot over a sprint trip than the son of Encosta del Lago and Lovely Jubbly. And I think as long as he gets a split, he'll get the prize. Let's hope Buffering's there for a long way. Everyone seems to love that horse, and it's hard not to when he just fights like a tiger every start. But Chautauqua for mine, and you're with Terra Vista.
I'm with Terra Vista to just beat Chautauqua and Buffering third, but that's an interesting comment to make. The best horse in the land turn of foot. Gee, I'd love to see him go head-to-head with Exosphere over the last 400 of a race. Anyway, and I think we'll get the chance to see that later in the carnival.
Yeah, we can only hope so.
Yeah.
All right, mate, anyway, let's get on to one, the Cox Plate, Rick. I think we'll quickly go through runner by runner and get our thoughts on each, and then give our final selection at the end. So if you want to kick things off, mate, with the first.
Well, Criterion, what a great horse. What a great ambassador for Australia. Performance was outstanding last start. He's got form at Moonee Valley. He's probably better than he's ever been. And I think he's going to be one of the place getters. I think he's going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, he's drawn to get a good run, which is a key here, I think, for Criterion. And I've got him top of the locals, Rick, mainly because of the draw as well and his class. That win in the Caulfield Stakes was brilliant, and you've got to only assume he's got room for improvement there. So I think he's a great hope, Criterion. On to Faulkner, next one. Disappointing last start, probably a career worst run from him where he reportedly jarred up on the track. Drawn the widest. No horse has won from that barrier in more than 30 years. I think the draw plays against him, and for that reason, I'm going to leave him out of my multiples as well, Rick.
Shadow of what he was last year, can't possibly win from out there, and that run last start was so disappointing, you just put a line to him.
Yeah, I think so as well, mate. So on to the next one, Happy Trails.
Yeah, I don't think he's running as well as he was. Good run last start in the Group 1 race, but this is a few lengths better than any Cox Plate he's been in before, and I think he finishes back with the cap catches.
Sure, he mixes form too much for mine, Rick. He's I think as he's getting older, he takes a few more runs to get up to speed each campaign, and if you look at his last run, there was nothing wrong with that. The second behind Criterion, so on last run, you'd assume he'll be there in the finish. He's drawn out wide in 13 as well, so that plays against him. So another one I'll leave out of the multiples. And I'll let you start off with one of your favourites, Rick. I know you've been keen on Hartnell for quite a while. You give him any chance on Saturday?
I gave him a chance in the Caulfield Cup, and I was really disappointed they didn't accept for him in that race. Yeah, I give him a chance. I've done the mapping story, and he rattles home, and in the mapping story finishes fifth. So he's obviously got a big chance as far as I'm concerned. And given the way the race will be run, it's probably not the horse he was 6 months ago, given that he's training differently. But yeah, I think he'll be in the money in about fourth or fifth spot as they cross the line.
Yeah, I haven't been a big fan of him since his disappointing first up run. But having said that, I think he's ready to show his best this campaign, Rick. Just looking at the way he's progressed through this campaign, and I think everyone expected him just to be as brilliant as he was last time as soon as he kicked off this campaign, and that just hasn't happened. But there's no doubting he's got class. Again, he's drawn perfectly barrier 3. O'Shea puts earmuffs on first time. I think we'll see his best. Whether his best is good enough to be in the finish, I'm not sure, but I'll definitely include him in the multiples just in case. So what about Mourinho? Give Mourinho any chance after that Underwood Stakes win?
None. I think he's a good horse. I think he's a very good Group 2 horse, but this is a Group 1 field, one of the best Cox Plates we've seen for many years. I just don't know whether he's going to be able to slot in close enough. He's the type of horse that needs every bit of luck to be in this finish, and so he won't get that from barrier 12. So, no, he'll finish back worse than midfield.
Sure, and I agree, and I think worse than midfield might only be 3 lengths off the lead, which is still going to be a good run. But like I said, this is a top quality field, and I won't be having him in them either. So the cleaner, you give him any more chance than Mourinho?
Look, I am so glad that this Tasmanian horse is in the race, because these Europeans, there's 2 or 3 of them go very, very fast early. They won't know what hit them with the cleaner in there drawing the inside and charging to the lead and then taking off at the 800. He's going to bring a lot of them unstuck. In fact, I think he'll bring all of them unstuck with the way he runs. He'll also bring himself unstuck. I think he'll be gallant. He'll turn in front, but he'll fade to finish about 7th or 8th. But as I say, I'm glad he's in the race because he's setting it up for a grandstand finish.
Yeah, his run wasn't too bad last time, Rick, after drawing wide and having to do a ton of work. So I've got no doubt he's up to this class. And I think at his best, which he looks to be at his best this campaign, he can figure in the finish. I don't think he's the winner, but with a cheeky run, I think he can be thereabouts. So another one I'll be throwing in for the multiples. Pornichet, Rick?
He's lost form. He hasn't come back as well as he was in Brisbane. He's going to get smashed in this race. He's going to try and go with these speed horses. He'll be pratted deep early, and he'll just fade noticeably and run second last.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, on to one of the internationals, A-Rod. Have you seen much of this fella?
Yeah, I've watched a lot of his videos. He's an exceptional horse. He's very, very fast, and it's going to be really odd to see a horse drawn barrier 5 who'll go past the winning post the first time 3 deep. And I think he'll stay out there because he only knows one thing, and that's to go forward. So does the cleaner, so does Highland Reel, and they'll just keep him pratted, and he'll just weaken in with 600 to go and finish back with the cap catches as well.
Yeah, having spoken to one of our UK colleagues, Rick, Nick, who will be joining us for the Melbourne Cup preview to go over some of the internationals, he's Nick's top pick, so I've got to respect that. I figure you don't ask for an opinion, expert opinion, if you're not going to listen to their advice. So I didn't previously like him. That second behind Solo in the Sussex Stakes was good enough, but that was over a mile, and I just question his form over 2,000. Looking at his times over 2,000 metres, it was a lot slower than some of the other internationals and some of our horses. So, like I said, I question his form, but having that leg up from our UK expert, I'll throw him in. But he's wasn't originally one of my top 5, so bit of a question mark, that one for me. What about complacent for Godolphin, Rick?
Definitely a top 4 chance. We'll probably look the winner at some stage. He's going to get such a great run behind them, behind this tearaway pack out in front. These 3 that I'm anticipating will go hard early. I think he'll join in and look the winner at some stage in the straight and get swamped by a couple of back markers. But he'll be in my first 4 picks. even in my trifecta picks, because this is a good horse.
I agree. And one thing to take from that, Rick, is James McDonald's still opted to ride Hartnell in this. So we know James will get top pick. I think Complacent's a great chance, especially from the barrier. And considering John O'Shea said before he resumed after that long layoff that, this horse will take a few runs to get ready, and he's had such a long break, he's been in sensational form. So if he's ready to peak now, which you would assume he would be, he's got to be a big chance. But like I said, McDonald's gone for Hartnell, which also I think gives him maybe an even better chance. Okay, another international, Rick, Galo Chop. You seeing much of this one?
Will run last. Another one that likes to go forward. He won't match it with the Cleaner and A-Rod and Highland Reel, and he'll start to put the white flag up 600 from home. We'll finish last.
Yeah, I agree. Interestingly, Rick, this field of 14, there's 11 Group 1 winners, 3 Group 2 winners. So your 3 Group 2 horses are the Cleaner, A-Rod and Galo Chop. I'm leaving him out. On to Kermadec. Any chance?
Oh, he's got to have a chance. Anything that Chris Waller trains got a chance. I've mapped him to finish on strongly to get 6th in the race. I just think he's going to get too far back. Now, saying that, when we get to the bottom horses, you'll say I'm contradicting myself, but I think they've got better form and better stamina for a 2,000-metre race. It's going to be truly run than Kermadec. I would not be surprised if he swamps them because his Sydney form was brilliant, but I just think he's 1 year away from being a star.
Yeah, I agree. Barrier 10 is not going to help, and for mine, he's the bottom pick of Waller's trio. Which takes us to another one of Waller's, Preferment.
Yeah, big chance. Very big chance. He will circle the field, which will mean he's going to have to work very hard over the final 600 metres. But if he starts going at the 800, which I anticipate he will, and Nash doesn't make any mistakes, because he can in Group 1 races, old Nash. But this is an outstanding racehorse, and he's going to stand for himself as a genuine Melbourne Cup chance after this. He will circle the field, and he will come late and come hard. I think he'll run 3rd. So therefore, he'll be in my trifectas, top 4s, but healthy respect.
Yeah, mine too. Can't argue with his last 2 wins, Rick, especially the last in the Turnbull. You know he'll stay. So if the pressure goes on a long way out, which it usually does in the Cox Plate, he's not going to be tiring. Like you said, he'll keep coming, and I think he is one of the top hopes. So yeah, I don't mind Preferment. Second to last, Rick, the last of the internationals, Highland Reel. Any fancy on him?
If the Cleaner wasn't in this race, I would back Highland Reel to win it. But because the Cleaner's in the race, I just think he's going to be sitting up on the flanks of the Cleaner all the way. And that last 600, from the 800 to the home turn, it's very circular. And if you're not on the fence, you're going to struggle. He's not going to be able to get past the Cleaner for the first 1,400 metres of the race, and I think that might bring him unstuck. We saw when Golden Horn took him on in Europe, he had nothing at the finish either. So on that basis, and being fresh to Moonee Valley, quality racehorse. No Cleaner, he wins. With the Cleaner in the race, Highland Reel can't win for mine, and he'll fade and finish about 7th.
Sure, I think he'll take a sit behind the Cleaner, or maybe even another pair back, to be honest, Rick. You've seen him, he led the Secretariat Stakes and won really impressively. He ran in a slightly quicker time than Adelaide did before coming down to win the Cox Plate. But then, as you mentioned, in the Irish Champion, when he was beaten by Golden Horn, he jumped to the lead, but then he let Golden Horn take over and sat behind him, but just didn't offer a lot in the straight. And that was a quality race. He's my top pick. I'll get to that now. I'm backing Highland Reel to win. I think he just maps perfectly if he gets to sit behind the Cleaner. So, and when you look at what Adelaide did last year, circling the field from last, stable have said this horse is as good, if not better, than Adelaide. He's down on the same weight. As I said, he ran quicker time in the Secretariat Stakes. Maps well. I think he wins easily.
Well,
He's in a Cox Plate.
He may be one-on-one a better horse than Adelaide. I'm not doubting that. And as I say, I think he's quality. But the way this race will be run is the thing that puts the dark cloud in my mind over him. And he's a different horse than Adelaide. Adelaide came from around in a possibly a weaker field than what this is. And this horse is going to have to be up on the pace, and he's going to get burnt early. But anyway, that's the beauty of international Group 1 racing. We'll know at the end of the race.
That's right, and the beauty of opinions, they always vary. Okay, so on to the last one, Winks, Rick. Any chance?
Wins the race. Wins the race, stamps herself the best horse in the country. Will get a perfect run about 7th or 8th on the fence with Huey swinging. They'll all start to peel wide as they come towards the bend. And this is one of the best mares we've seen, staying mares, middle distance staying mares since Mackay Diva. And a champion will be born at the end of this race. This is outstanding mare.
Yeah, I've got to side with you there. I think if there's a danger to my top pick, it's Winks. She's got that X factor, and she really is something special. This will be the making of her if she can perform in this, Rick. But there's no way I'd underestimate her. That turn of foot she's got is just brilliant over this distance. So, and you saw how strong she was at the end of the Queensland Oaks. So, you know, if the pressure does go on a long way out, she'll keep coming too. And down that bottom weight, she's a massive chance.
You've got a horse that is potentially a freak, a superstar, who has repeatedly showed us that she has superior finishing burst than any horse in the country. She has the best rider in the country, and she's drawn barrier 1. She likes a hectic pace out early. She's going to get that in this with 4 known front runners. Ticks every single box. They're paying $7 at the moment. This could be a big 4-figure race day for me.
Yep, sure. Yeah, she's half a kilo less than Highland Real. He's going to be a long way in front of her. She's going to need to use every bit of that brilliant turn of foot she's got to get him. But that's the way it sits for Cox Plate Day. I'm with Highland Real. You're going Winks. Hopefully one of us are onto the winner, Rick.
Yeah, well, it's often the case. Either one of us get it. My trifecta will be Winks, Criterion, and Preferment. But I just think it's a great betting race. If it maps the way my mind thinks it will, I'm going to clean up.
Well, let's hope so, and let's hope lots of us clean up on Saturday, Rick, Friday night especially as well, and back to Tarkwa, I think, and get some extra spending money for Saturday.
There you go. Well, I'll be on Terra Vista. Just on a very sentimental note, Let's Elope's granddaughter, Let's Make a Deal, is out of the Moonee Valley Cup. And what that does, that in itself is very sad, but what it does is give that old horse precedence, a big chance of making that Melbourne Cup field again. And I really hope for the theatre and the glamour of racing that he storms in the Melbourne Cup contention with a win in the Moonee Valley Cup.
Can only hope so. I think there wouldn't be a person in the country or around the world that wouldn't be glad to see it, Rick.
Especially with Bart dying this year, and I think that's the way that God works, to be honest.
Yeah, well, let's hope so, mate. And I'd love to see him in there, that's for sure. And let's be honest, he hasn't run bad races in there. He keeps getting in that top 10 and 6, 7 lengths off the pace. He can run a good race. So anyway, that's it for this week's preview. Hopefully we've found the winner. Enjoy a great day of racing, everyone. Cox Plate only comes around once a year, so enjoy the spectacle and hopefully make some profit. Yeah, wonderful race. Really good renewal of it this year, and good luck to everybody. Remember, punting is easy, and next week, I'm going to come on and I'm going to drop $50 bills at a pile of them this week. Winks. Yes, it'll be your second big clean-up from Winks. Okay, best of luck on weekend, guys. Good on you, mate. Bye-bye.